Jacqueline Gates has lived through the unimaginable, the tragic loss of her daughter, Joelle. In the wake of profound grief, Jackie found solace in journaling, filling page after page for 25 years as a way to heal, to hold on, and to honor Joelle's legacy. A poet, author, and advocate, Jackie now uses her voice to help others find their own path through loss. With faith as her compass and writing as her torch, she invites us to reimagine grief, not as something to survive, but something to shape us.
Thank you so much, Jackie Gates, for joining me here on AwareNow to share this space and to share this story. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Allie. It's my pleasure and an honor to be here. Thank you.
Let's get right into this. I can't imagine what it's like to lose a child. But more than imagine that, Jackie, you had to experience that. If you would, let's start from the beginning. Please take us back 38 years ago. What happened to your daughter? What happened to Joelle? Will you take us through that?
It was the worst thing in my life. It was January 12th, 1987, and I was ill at the time. My ex-husband had the children, and they were coming home to go to school, and they were crossing the road and a highway, and the younger child, Heather, was in the car, and Keith was 12, and Joelle slipped from Keith's fingers, and a gentleman going to work hit Joelle, and she flew in front of my home and was pronounced dead and brought back to life on life support. And I came running out in my pajamas, and I immediately, the mind is a powerful tool, Allie, and I immediately went from illness, mental health, sickness into grief. They tore me away from Joelle, and I just wanted to surround her. And her body was limp. It was terrible. Let me tell you, it was the worst thing in my life. I'm sorry for crying, but you never forget. She was only 10, and it's a nightmare for Keith at this time in his life still. The siblings suffered too, and it was Grandma Rosebush's birthday, and it was terrible for everybody. And the ambulance was right there, it was right by Lapeer Hospital, and they took her, and I remember screaming in the halls. It was terrible, and I think she was there for 3 days, and then they helicopter flown her to Beaumont, and she was in a persistent vegetative state, and that is where you have to be in a vegetative state for more than a month, where you have involuntary movements, and she like opened and closed her eyes in sleep-wake cycles where they're not aware, and it looked like she was awake. So it was so devastating to me to understand that. And the family dynamics was so sad, and I could barely work, and I worked at the health department, and it was so sad, and I could barely look at her to see her in that way and keep everybody together, my children, my other 2 children. I was single at the time. And let me tell you, it rips your heart and your soul apart, and you're not together. But it was devastating, Allie.
Again, I cannot imagine. Not, and you speak about the whole family. It's not only your grief that you're carrying, it's the grief of your children, but everyone around you as well. And as a mom, you have to be there to show up for them and somehow still take care of you too.
Yes.
Experiencing a loss like that, I can't imagine where I would even begin to start processing. You, though, you started with a pen. You started journaling, yeah?
Yes, I did. I always loved to write, and my poetry, I started at a young age, and I started journaling, and my faith kept me intact. And I journaled for 25 years, and it wasn't always sentences. It was a dabble. It was angry words. I was angry at God. I was angry at anyone that looked like Joelle. I was mad. I experienced the grief cycle and not in order. And I didn't come to acceptance until a long time after journaling. And I followed the Elizabeth Kubler-Ross cycle. And I loved her and her books, and that's what I modeled after. And after I journaled and found my peace and soul in place, I wanted to help others. And I looked for a sign after a while and found that I wanted to see a hummingbird. And I was sitting at my dining room table, and a little hummingbird flew by my window, and I knew that Joelle was in heaven. And that was my way with God, knowing that Joelle was in heaven. And it was so peaceful. And then at that moment, I knew that I could help others. And I knew that my manifestation of love and faith and poetry could reach other people through journaling, listening to music. I did. Little did I know that listening to music while journaling or any other art would bring about fond memories of your loved one. Maybe not right away, but in the future.
Never thought about that part of it. What when it comes to music, is there a specific song?
She always loved Cyndi Lauper.
Well, who doesn't? Yeah.
That was her era. She'd be 49 May 20th. Is her birthday. And Beautiful Colors, True Colors.
Yeah.
She loved that. She loves Cyndi Lauper. I do. I want to go see her with my daughter. August 2nd, she's coming.
I want to go back to the journaling for a moment, because in addition to writing for yourself, you say to help others through grief. You wrote a couple of books, yes?
About the grief cycle and the death with dignity laws and the right to die. A little bit more about that.
Let's talk about that, because this is something I don't know anything about. So I love, what is your experience with these laws? And because Joelle made some history, right?
Yes, Joelle is the first right to die minor case in Michigan. After careful consideration with Dr. Kennedy, she is the first Black neurosurgeon of the United States. She's at the top 3% of her game. She counseled Fran and I to the understanding of Joelle's condition. And she is very intelligent. She has now retired from Children's Hospital in Detroit. And with the social workers and Father McGrath, Fran and I decided to let Joelle go naturally. She was on a respirator. So it was election time, and the prosecutor got wind of it, said we were going to kill our daughter. And there was a 7-day trial, and it went throughout the United States. And I was quiet, but still, there was a bioethics committee and guarding ad litem for Joelle. And everyone protected Joelle's interest. Judge Kuhn, after 7 days, asked me to come up on the podium and asked me what my opinion was. So Fran allowed me, and we both agreed together. And I said I wanted Joelle to be removed. Now, my decision was, because Joelle had died already at the roadside, that's why. It's not a Kevorkian decision making or anything like that of the sorts. So, Judge Kuhn allowed us to make that decision, that the parents have the right to make the decision over the child. So that's why. That's why I never changed my mind or anything. I've always kindred to my decision. And now Fran, my ex-husband, has passed away 3 years ago. He had a seat in an interview a long time ago. And so he would be very proud of me to do this and to continue on.
Well, and just the fact that it's for a 7-day trial. I mean, because you were already dealing with so much grief. And then
Yes.
to have that added baggage that you're forced to carry. I can't imagine how much worse that made it.
It was terrible. It was terrible. There is still no legal right to die in the United States. There's death with dignity laws. There's 10 states that have death with dignity laws. That's where you have to be 18 years or older, an adult, cognitive, and you take a pill and you have to have a medical doctor and 6 months or less to live. And you take the pill and you die. Myself, I couldn't do that. But there are reasons why some people would do that. They're very, very ill and, they just don't want to live anymore. There are healthcare costs, maybe a reason, and, there are reasons why people would do that. People are in situations, not everybody has the money, to take care of themselves, let's say. Family issues or what have you. You have to have feelings for people like that.
I want to talk more about you and what you've gone through in addition to this profound loss. You've lived with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma nearly a decade, and you continue to write with faith and fire on the days. I guess this was my other question I have for you today is, on the days that feel heavy or hollow, where do you go mentally, spiritually, creatively to find the light again?
I take my dog, Buddy. He's a golden retriever, and Richard, my husband, he's right behind me. He's my number one supporter, and we go for a walk. I love to walk, and I work out, and I pray, and I meditate, and I talk to God, and I go within myself. And this may sound, I don't think this will sound silly to you, because I know you're very creative and you're very intuitive. I talk to myself and I ground myself. And when you have a chronic illness, people don't use part of their brain. And when you don't use your other part of your brain to ground yourself, you're still sick. And when I feel myself getting sick with my cancer or mental illness, because I've dealt with mental illness 42 years and I haven't been sick in over 25 years, like in the hospital or whatever, I ground myself. I talk to myself and I ground myself. I walk barefoot, or even in the winter on the sidewalk here in front of my home. We have 2.5 acres. Or I look towards the sun in sunglasses. And people don't do this, but I've experienced healing I've experienced healing, and I'm a very strong woman, and people need to know this. You need your support system, people that are positive. I'm a very positive woman, not all the time, but when I'm feeling low, I seek inner peace. I don't be around people that are negative. People that are negative are no good for you. They're no good for your spirituality, your peace, your love, the love for yourself. I love myself. When you love yourself, you can spread your love other ways. That's why I could love other people. When I journaled and I found peace for myself, that's how I can help other people. And when I found that, I can give. I have cooked for other people. I have a gift of cooking. I have cooked for people that are ill with cancer, with broth. My mother was a great Irish cook, and I cook with broth, healing with herbs, and I've cooked and helped people heal.
And in a way, helping other people heal, that helps us heal too, yeah?
I'm just now spreading the word. It's blossoming, and I hope I will get others to share in my journey.
Well, for sharing your journey today here with me, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for helping all of us just become a bit more aware now. Thank you so much.
Thank you.